Okay, tough questions. Number 2, is Santa real? When we're asked by our children or when we're thinking about Christmas season, do we go along with Santa? I grew up with Santa in the home. I got a gift from him each year and the reindeer story, all of that. But there was a time when I realized it was not real. It was made up. So the question for you, Christian mom, is do you keep Santa going? Obviously, it's up to you and your spouse, but I do want to give you a few things to think about as you think about whether or not you're going to have Santa in your home and whether you're not going to keep that story alive. The first one is, do you want to be a truth teller to your children? Now, that might sound extreme. I don't mean it to, but that was the thing that got me hung up. If I engage in the story of Santa in our household, I felt like I was misleading my children. The story of Santa with the reindeer and the cookies, all of that, it's just, it's not real. And so I did not want to tell them lies or mislead them or make something up. Colossians 3:9 says, do not lie to one another. And so I decided with my husband, as we talked about it, that we were not going to have Santa in our home because we wanted to share the truth. We wanted to speak what is real. The second thing to think about would be Jesus and Santa, right? When we think about the two things, we have Jesus, a real story, a real truthful event that happened. And that's where our focus is and should be this Christmas season. And then we have Santa, on the other hand, a made-up story with lots of different parts and songs and everything. We want to keep Christmas about Jesus Christ. We want to tell our children about the story of him coming to earth, the fact that he was God and man, and we don't want Santa to take away from Jesus. So our songs, ideally, should be focused on who Jesus is. Our talks with them should be about who Jesus is. The books we read, all of that. And the plan of salvation and how amazing it is that Jesus came to earth as a baby and lived a human life and died for us that we might be right with God. I checked in with Pastor Mike Fabarez on a radio broadcast he did, and this is his answer to this same question we're talking about today. He said that he wanted, with his own children, to be a truth teller to his kids, like we said. He also didn't want to mislead them. He also brings up the idea that Jesus Christ rising from the dead is real. I don't want them, with the story of Santa, to be confused. Oh, is this Jesus kind of like Santa? It's made up. It's not real. So some suggestions that Pastor Mike Fabarez gives is that we tell the real story about who St. Nicholas is because he was a real person. He lived, he was a pastor, he inherited money, and he was known for his generosity. He loved to help people. He actually did that anonymously often. He would give gifts. And so there was a real man, a pastor, who was there and who was serious about biblical truth. So when we talk about the Christmas season, we can share with our kids who St. Nicholas really was. And we can even learn from his example. Give gifts, be generous. He was serious about biblical truth. We can give money to our children to be generous, just like St. Nicholas. So there is a way to kind of redeem that story of Santa. A couple of things that might help, I have right here, is this story, St. Nicholas, the real story. The real story of the Christmas legend. That might help even to explain who this real person is and to redeem the story of Santa and talk about the truthful pastor who was generous. The third thing I want to bring up is we also should be careful to teach our kids to be sensitive to others. This is the hard part. This takes a lot of patience and thinking and planning ahead, even because we would like to not ruin this for other friends or cousins, neighbors. I like to tell my kids that we didn't need to go around, shouting this information out. Of course, don't lie to other people. We want to teach our kids that. So if somebody asks you, do you believe in Santa? You can say, no, I don't. And if that kid says, I do, you don't have to argue with them, right? Because there are a lot of parents out there who have Santa in the home. And so we want to also just be careful in teaching our kids not to just go out and blast it out to everyone. You could talk with them about it, try to prepare them for those conversations. So if you're still unsure about whether or not you're going to do Santa, pray about it for a while, talk with your husband, seek other Christians' counsel, and see which direction you believe will best honor God in your home.